Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy here on Facebook Live, and I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles. I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live. We're going to be doing What is Justice? What is Fairness? From A Course in Miracles. So let's start out with a song from A Course in Miracles from our brother John Christmas, and it's one of my favorite ones. Here you go.
Not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of my mom, I'm not a victim of my pa, I'm not a victim of events or circumstance at all. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I done to me. I'm not a victim of the future, not a victim of the past, not a victim of anything that really doesn't last. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see.
Hello, mighty companions. I'm Earl Purdy. Welcome to Facebook Live, Hardcore Course in Miracles. We're going to be on What is Justice? What is Fairness? On page 49 in the Manual for Teachers, in the Course in Miracles, Foundation for Inner Peace version, page 49 in the Manual for Teachers. What is justice? What is justice?
I'm not a victim of the North, I'm not a victim of the South, not a victim of anything except what comes out my mouth. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Help me out now. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see.
Remember only this: you need not believe the ideas, you need not accept the ideas, you need not welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist, some of the ideas you will find hard to believe, and some of the ideas you will find quite startling. You're not being asked to analyze the ideas at all. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true.
I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me.
That was Brother John Christmas at johnchristmas.com. If you want to get that music, you're talking about John Christmas at johnchristmas.com. Yes, if you want to get that music. I'm Earl Purdy. I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles. It's a Course in Miracles class that's especially geared toward Course in Miracles students, but anybody, of course, is welcome to watch it. Tonight I'm going to do What is Justice? I want to say hello to all my mighty companions, because I do this broadcast live so that we can communicate with each other. I always check out your comments, and I love the fact that we are seeing each other as a family, and we meet every week. What is judgment? What is justice? What is justice? What is justice? In the text, the Course in Miracles defines justice as fairness. To be just is to be fair. Is to be just is to be fair. So when I do the Course in Miracles, I do it in the question and answer format, and I also do it with rhythm and feeling. And I want you to know that I sometimes substitute the Course in Miracles definitions for the terms so that we can get a fresh perspective of what it's saying. I am the divine remembering teacher. I am the divine repetition teacher. I call myself DRT. The Course in Miracles says throughout the book, over and over again, to anybody that studies it, they know that the Course in Miracles says over and over again, don't forget, remember. Don't forget, remember. So my focus is on us hearing and remembering what it's saying. Okay, so justice, let's do paragraph 1. Justice is a divine correction for injustice. Justice is a divine correction for injustice. Fairness is the divine correction for unfairness. Injustice. What is injustice? Injustice is the basis for all the judgments of the world. The judgments of the world come from injustice, unfairness. There's nothing about the judgments of the world that is fair. None of the judgments in the world are fair, according to the Course in Miracles. Every judgment of the ego, every judgment of the fearful mind is unfair, according to A Course in Miracles. Listen to me. Justice corrects the interpretations in which injustice gives rise and cancels the interpretations to which injustice gives rise out. So, justice, which is fairness, corrects the interpretations in which injustice gives rise. But do you realize the Course in Miracles defines heaven as our reality? The Course in Miracles says heaven is reality. So another term for heaven in the Course in Miracles is reality. So reality is heaven. So whenever you hear the word heaven or see the word heaven in A Course in Miracles, you can substitute the word perfect joy. You can say perfect joy, and you can say reality. So the Course in Miracles says neither justice nor injustice exist in reality. Because when you're in reality, when you're in the reality that our Creator created for us, do you know that in reality, error is impossible? Making mistakes, that's impossible when you're in our reality. So error is impossible and correction is meaningless. Why is correction meaningless in heaven? Why is correction meaningless in reality? Because in reality, there is no need for correction. Because in reality, there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes in reality. There are no mistakes in real love. So when you're in reality, it's impossible to make a mistake, and there's no need to correct anything because there's nothing that's wrong when you're in reality. When you're in reality. In this world, in what world? In this world. In what world? In this world. So justice cancels out the thoughts of fear. So listen to this. In this world, however, forgiveness depends on justice. So forgiveness depends on what? Forgiveness depends on fairness, justice. Why does forgiveness depend on justice? Well, since all attack can only be unjust, all attack can only be unfair. You never deserve attack. 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 And so all attack can only be unfair, because a child of God, a child of love, you don't deserve attack. So all attack can only be unjust. All attack can only be unfair. Do you hear me? Check this out. Justice is the Holy Spirit's verdict upon the world. So what is the Holy Spirit's verdict? What is the verdict of love upon this world? Justice. So justice is fairness. And so fairness is love's verdict upon this world. Looked at through the eyes of love, that's when things that are fair are going to happen. Except in the Holy Spirit's judgment, in your inner teacher's judgment, in love's judgment, justice is impossible unless it's coming from the judgment of love. No one can truly judge anything correctly if they're not feeling total peace, total love. So in the Holy Spirit's verdict, justice, which is you never being attacked, you never being attacked, that's justice. But do you know that no one in the world is capable of making only fair interpretations? Are you aware that no one in the world is capable of making only just interpretations? No one in the world is capable of laying all injustices aside. No one who believes in separation, no one who is angry, no one who is insecure, no one who feels jealousy, no one who thinks they're just a body, no one who believes in guilt, no one who believes in sin is capable of making fair interpretations. There's no such thing as you being upset and your perception is correct from a Course in Miracles perspective. Because whenever you're upset, it's because you're not seeing something correctly when you are upset. It means you're not seeing something fairly when you are upset. So do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? So no one who believes they're a body, no one who thinks they're separate, no one who holds grievances, no one who has anger and fear is capable of making only fair interpretations and laying all injustices aside. If God's son, if God's child were fairly judged, there would be no need for salvation. There would be no need for forgiveness. If you were being fairly judged, there would be no need for forgiveness. Because if you were seeing correctly, the thought of separation would have been forever inconceivable. Do you know that you can never be separate from love? You can never be separate from God. You can never be separate from love. You can never be separate from God. You can never be separate from God. You can never be separate from your Creator. You can never be separate from your Creator. Listen to me now. The thought of separation would have been forever inconceivable. If what? If you were being fairly judged. If you were being fairly judged, you being separate from love would be inconceivable. I want you to hear what I'm saying. Take a moment to really let that in. That justice is fairness. To be fair is to be just. To be just is to be fair. Love, true love, a mind of true love, spirit, is the only thing that's capable of truly fair judgment. What did the Course in Miracles tell us? It said, if you are in the world and you believe you are of the world and you think you are separate, you think you are a body, you have any levels of grievances and fear and guilt, that's being in your ego. I've been doing the Course in Miracles for 40 years, and I've been committed and dedicated to it, and it's what I do full time in the world because it blew my socks off. I knew when I got introduced to the Course in Miracles that was the reason why I'm on this planet, that's my role in this grand cosmic drama that we call life. And every time I have applied what the Course in Miracles teaches, every time I've actually used the ideas, not analyzed the ideas, but used the ideas, I got some level of peace. I had some type of healing or a miracle happen. So if you think you are separate, if you don't believe you're connected to your source, you cannot make fair judgments. No one in the world can make totally fair judgments. Justice, like its opposite, injustice. Do you know that justice is an interpretation? Justice is an interpretation. Being fair is an interpretation. What's fair to one person may be unfair to another person. What's unfair to another person may be fair to another person. Justice is an interpretation. But true justice, the justice that comes from truth, the justice that comes from love, that's the one interpretation that leads to truth. So if you use the interpretations that the Course in Miracles is teaching you, if you use the interpretations that the Course in Miracles is teaching you, it will lead you to true fairness and true justice. So let's take a little ride, breathe and take a little ride and listen to this. Justice is the one interpretation that leads to the truth, that leads to the truth. This becomes possible because while justice isn't true in itself, justice includes nothing that opposes truth. Justice does not include anything that opposes the Course. Being fair in your interpretation does not contain anything that opposes love, that opposes truth. Justice includes nothing that opposes truth. So do you know there is no inherent conflict between justice and truth. There is no conflict between fairness and truth. There is no conflict between justice and truth. There is no conflict between justice and truth. Justice is but one small step in the direction of the truth. Truth is but the first small step in the direction of justice. Justice is but the first small step in the direction of truth. So when you learn to be fair, you are moving toward the truth. When you learn to be fair, you are moving toward the truth. When you are being fair, you are moving toward the truth. So check this out. The path becomes quite different as you go along the path. The path becomes quite different as you go along the path. As you go along the path becomes quite different. How does the path become quite different as you go along? Nor could all the magnificence, the grandeur of the scene, and all the enormous opening vistas that rise to meet you as the journey continues be foretold from the outset. So what did the Course in Miracles says is going to happen if you stay on the path of truth and you stay on the path of justice? The Course in Miracles says the path is going to become quite different. What does that mean? you're going to see magnificence. You're going to see the grandeur of the scene. You're going to see enormous opening vistas that are just going to rise to meet you as the journey continues. When you're focusing on the truth, the Course in Miracles says the hardest part is the beginning. The hardest part is the beginning. If you're at the beginning of your journey through A Course in Miracles, if you're at the beginning of your journey to love and truth, then you are at the hardest part. The hardest part is the beginning. In the world, things become harder as you go along. When you're focusing on the truth and you are using the truth, then things get easier as you go along. But you got to be using it. I'm not saying sitting around analyzing it. I'm not saying sitting around analyzing A Course in Miracles is going to give you that ease and that harmony. Using these thoughts. The Course in Miracles is only concerned with correcting your perception, correcting your interpretations of what's going on. And if you have a correct interpretation, you're going to be fair. And if you are fair, you're going to feel more peace and you're going to feel more love. And as you go along this path, you're going to have the experience of magnificence. You're going to have the experience of enormous opening vistas. And the Course in Miracles says, but even these enormous opening vistas, even this really good stuff that's going to come to you, even these whose splendor reaches indescribable heights as you proceed, all this good stuff that you're going to experience as you continue on the path of the Course and you continue on the path of the truth, it's going to fall short. Check this out. It's going to fall short indeed of all that weight when the pathway ceases and time ends with the pathway. Even the incredible things that you're going to experience fall short of what happens when you reach the end of the journey. You're going to experience some incredibly wonderful, beautiful, loving experiences as you continue this journey. But do you know it's not going to be anything compared to what you're going to experience at the end of the journey? But somewhere one must start. Somebody's got to start somewhere. So justice is the beginning. Learning how to be fair to yourself, learning how to be fair to others, learning what the fairness of love is, learning what the justice of love is, that's where you start. You're going to start at what does it mean to be just? What does it mean to be fair? That's where you start. All concepts of your brothers and yourself, all fears of future states, and all concerns about the past stem from injustice. So all concepts of other people, do you know that all concepts of other people that a fearful, guilty mind has stems from injustice, unfairness? Do you know that all your personally made up concepts of yourself come from injustice, unfairness? Do you know all your fears about what may happen in the future? The Course says they stem from injustice. They stem from unfairness to yourself. Do you know that all your concerns about what happened to you in your past stem from injustice, unfairness? So keep that in mind. If you have a fearful, angry, guilty mind, you are being unfair to yourself. And what you are seeing and thinking about and experiencing is coming from a lack of love. And whenever you're doing anything from a lack of love, whenever you're doing anything from a lack of inner peace, you're being unfair to yourself. You're being unjust to yourself. So injustice, which is seen through the eyes of fear and separation and the past, the Course says, here is the lens which held before the body's eyes. Injustice, looking through the eyes of your ego, looking through the eyes of your fear, distorts perception. Fear and anger and guilt distort your perception. When you're fearful, angry, and guilty, you are wrong. You're looking at it through your ego. You're looking at whatever the situation or person through the eyes of injustice. And the Course says, when you're looking through the eyes of fear, held before your body's eyes, that distorts perception. And when you're looking out at the world through a fearful, angry perception, it brings witness of the distorted world back to the mind that made the lens of fear and holds it very dear. When I look out through the eyes of fear and anger and injustice, I see the witness to what I am believing in that moment. The Course says, selectively and arbitrarily is every concept of the world built up in just this way. What does that mean? You see so-called sins and guilts when you're looking through the eyes of fear and guilt and injustice. And you see so-called sins and guilts, and these sins are perceived and justified. So when you see somebody's guilt, when you see somebody's so-called sin, the Course says that's because of careful selectivity. You're either going to focus on the innocence in me, or you're going to focus on the guilt in me. You're going to focus on the innocence in me, or you're going to focus on the guilt in me. You're going to either focus on the innocence of someone, or you're going to focus on the guilt of someone. So if you are determined to be separate, you're going to carefully select exactly what you can focus in on, so that every thought of love and wholeness must be lost. When you're looking for someone's sins and you want to hang on to a grievance, when you want to focus on how guilty either you or another person are, then forgiveness has no place in such a scheme. How am I going to forgive you if all I'm doing is focusing on my projection on what I think are your sins and your guilts and all the things that I think you've done to hurt me or someone else? I'm not going to think about any kind of forgiveness if I'm focusing on your so-called sins. Because if I think you have hurt me or I have a grievance against you and I feel like I'm the victim of you in some way, and I want to focus on everything about you that represents your sin or your so-called sin, because there's no such thing as sin, or if I want to focus on your wrongs, then if I want to focus on it, if I want to hang on to it, it's going to seem like it's forever true. If I want to see you, if I don't want to forgive you, if I want to hold a grievance against you, and I want to keep that grievance going no matter what, then it's going to seem like it is forever true. Forever true. Now listen, in the Teacher's Manual, section 19, What is Justice? I'm on paragraph 4. So check this out. Check this out. What is salvation? When you hear that term salvation, what is salvation? Do you know that the Course teaches that salvation and forgiveness are the same thing? And the Course in Miracles teaches that forgiveness is not trying to overlook what you think someone has done to you because you're on a higher level of consciousness. Forgiveness, according to A Course in Miracles, forgiveness is true perception. Forgiveness is correct perception. So when you forgive me, you are correctly perceiving me. When you forgive me, you are truly perceiving me. So what would be the correct perception of me? The correct perception of me would be I am innocent, that I am loved, loving, and lovable. That is my true self. Now, that may not be how my ego, separate personality self expresses itself, but I'm talking about your real self and my real self. Salvation, which the Course defines as right-mindedness, love, and peace, and forgiveness, is God's justice. So God's justice is this. You deserve only love, you deserve forgiveness. You deserve only love, you deserve forgiveness. That is God's justice. That you only deserve love, and everything that blocks love in your life, it's only fair that that be removed. So God's justice is focusing in on peace, love, forgiveness, and joy. Focus on peace, love, forgiveness, and joy. God's justice is salvation, love, forgiveness, and joy. God's justice is salvation, love, forgiveness, and joy. God's fairness, God's love restores to your awareness. God's love restores to your awareness the wholeness of the fragments you perceive as broken off and separate. So what does love do? It restores your awareness of the oneness. Love, God's fairness, love's justice does what? It restores to your awareness the wholeness of the fragments you perceive as broken off and separate. Do you know what I mean? We see each other as separate, but God's justice restores to your awareness our oneness, which is our wholeness is our oneness. Our wholeness is our oneness. When you look through the eyes of love, you only see oneness. When you're looking through the eyes of God, love, justice, you only see oneness. You don't see separateness. And when you're looking through the eyes of love and truth, what else happens? When you're looking through the eyes of love and truth, what happens? This overcomes the fear of death. So how do you overcome the fear of death? How do you overcome the fear of death? You overcome the fear of death through God's fairness, through love's fairness, through love's justice, and recognizing your oneness. When you know your oneness with all that is, and when you know your true spiritual identity, when you know that you are more than a body, when you recognize you are more than a body, and the Course in Miracles removes the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. The Course in Miracles removes the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. The Course in Miracles removes the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. When you have experienced salvation, which is the fairness of love, God's justice, the fairness of love restores to your awareness the wholeness. Because do you know what happens to separate fragments? Do you know what happens to those who are part of the oneness, but they see themselves as separate from the oneness? Separate fragments must decay and die. If you see yourself as separate from the oneness, if you see yourself as separate from God, then you would be a being that would think that you die. So people that believe in death, they do not know they are joined to life in God. People who believe in death They are like separate fragments that must decay and die. But guess what? What is immortal? What is immortal? What is it that never dies in you? Your wholeness, your oneness, your oneness, your wholeness. Wholeness is immortal. When you know your wholeness, when you know your oneness, and you truly know your oneness, then you will know that what you really are cannot die. What you really are, who you really are, can't die. Your body can die, the 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 body can appear to die, the body can appear to die. The body will not always be around. The body is not immortal. The body is not eternal. The form called the body is not eternal. But you are. You are. You are eternal. Eternal are you. You are eternal. Eternal are you. Wholeness is immortal. Wholeness is immortal. So when you are into your wholeness, your oneness, your spirit, the love that you are, wholeness remains forever and forever like its creator. You are immortal. You are spirit. That means you remain forever and forever like your creator. You remain forever and forever and forever like your creator. Woo! Being one with him. You are one with your creator. You are whole. You are love. You are oneness. What you really are is love. What you really are is wholeness. What you really are is what? Forever like your creator. Being one with your creator. God's judgment. What is God's judgment? God's judgment is his justice. God's judgment is God's justice. God's judgment is God's justice. You could say love's judgment is love's fairness. Love is fair. That means everyone equally deserves love. Everyone equally deserves love. Love is fair. There is no one excluded from love. There is no one excluded from love. Love heals. Love heals. No one is excluded from love. And the Course in Miracles says, God's judgment is his justice unto this. What is God's judgment? What is God's judgment? What is God's judgment? What is the Creator's judgment? What is the Creator's judgment? What is the Creator's judgment? What is God's judgment? What kind of judgment is it? It's a judgment wholly lacking. It's a judgment wholly lacking in condemnation. So love's judgment never condemns. Love's judgment never condemns. Love's judgment never condemns. The Creator's judgment never condemns you. Don't fear God's judgment, because God would never condemn you. Love would never condemn you. Love would never condemn you. What is love would never condemn you. Your Creator will 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 never, ever, ever condemn you. No one that really loves you would ever condemn you. No one that really loves you would ever condemn you. When you really love you, you would not condemn yourself. When you really love you, you will not condemn yourself. So what is God's judgment? A judgment wholly lacking in condemnation. Condemnation, lacking in condemnation. Love's judgment, God's judgment, is an evaluation based entirely on love. So God's judgment is an evaluation. God's judgment is an evaluation. And It is an evaluation that's based entirely on love. It is a judgment that's based entirely on love, based entirely on freedom. So love would never condemn you. Love will never condemn you. No matter what you do, love will not condemn you. Love will heal you, but it will not condemn you. Love will heal you, but love will not condemn you. So the Course in Miracles says, you have projected your injustice. The Course says, you are projecting your own unfairness, and so it looks like people can be unfair to you. You are projecting your own injustices to yourself, so it looks like others can be unjust to you. You have projected your injustice, which means that you have taken your judgmental nature and you have projected that judgmental nature in a fearful way onto God. So instead of saying we're the ones that punish and condemn as part of justice, it's we're the ones that think justice is punishment. And then we turn around and say that's the way God sees it. The Course in Miracles says we are projecting onto God our fearful, judgmental qualities. We have projected onto our Creator the lens of warped perception through which you look. I look at things in a fearful, guilty, angry way, but I have projected that onto my Creator. And so now I say the Creator is judging, punishing, attacking. Now it looks like it's God that has the warped perception. Now it looks like it's our Creator that judges harshly and punishes. Now that warped, fearful perception belongs to the Creator and not to you. You are afraid of your Creator if you have fear of God's judgment or the Creator's judgment. The Course says you are afraid of God, which is the same as saying, do you know that's the same as saying you are afraid of love? There's a part of you that's afraid of love. There's a part of you that's afraid of love. There's a part of you that's afraid of love. The part of you that's afraid of love is the part of you that sees the anger, the guilt, the grievances, the sickness, the attack, and the separation. You are afraid of God. You are afraid of love. But what you really don't see, what is it that the Course in Miracles says? What you really don't see is you hate yourself. What you really don't see is you fear yourself as enemy. What you really don't see is all doubt is doubt about yourself. What you really don't see is all fear is fear of yourself. That's what you don't see. Now, I know sometimes in listening to A Course in Miracles, you may have a ton of questions. Read the book, read the book, read the book, read the book, study the book. The questions are all answered in the book. What I do is I stay focused on the section that we're studying, and I attempt to allow Spirit to speak through me to allow you to hear what this is saying. Not necessarily that you're going to accept all of it or believe all of it or even understand all of it. But you need to hear that it's not God that attacks. It's not God that punishes. It's not God that judges harshly. It is those of us who have forgotten our true spiritual identity. It's those of us who think we are bodies. It's those of us who believe in anger, guilt, and grievance, and at some level the idea of sin. The Course in Miracles says anybody who believes what the separated ego world teaches can never judge fairly, can never judge accurately. So basically, if you think you are a man, or you think you are a woman, or any physical identity that's rooted in the body, your perception, according to this, is not going, your judgments are not going to be accurate. Your judgments are not going to be based on unconditional love and oneness. And so you are not capable by yourself of truly being fair and having only righteous judgments about anyone or anything. There's no such thing as you being full of anger, guilt, and grievances, and you're right, or that you're seeing something correctly, according to A Course in Miracles, which you don't have to believe, which you don't have to accept. So what is the answer? What is the answer? What is the answer? Let go of the belief in a God of punishment. There is not a God of punishment, there is not a hell, and there is no sin. Love does not punish. Love corrects lovingly. So listen to this. Pray for God's justice. Pray for God's justice. Pray for love's fairness. Pray for love's fairness. And do not confuse God's mercy. Don't confuse God's mercy with your own insanity. Don't confuse God's mercy with your own insanity. Don't confuse God's mercy with your own insanity. I'm going to give you one of the most important universal laws of this world about perception. Will you listen? Will you listen? Will you cut off the analytical mind just for a minute, and will you listen? Listen. Listen. Perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. Your perception can make whatever picture that you desire to see. Your perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. Perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. What does that mean? You can always see things the way you want to see things. You can always see things the way you want to see things. Your perception can make whatever picture that you desire to see. But there aren't but two pictures. There aren't but two pictures. The picture of love or the picture of fear. The picture of love or the picture of fear. The perception of love or the perception of fear. That's all you can see. The perception of innocence or the perception of guilt. The perception of wealth or the perception of lack. The perception of health or the perception of sickness. The perception of peace or the perception of attack. Those are the only two contents of anything you see. Either what you're seeing is giving you peace or what you're seeing is giving you fear. Either what you see is making you feel good or what you see is making you feel bad. But it's always a picture of what you desire to see. So that means you see what you want to see. You are seeing what you want to see. Perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. Remember this. See on that page, Mighty Companion, it says, remember this. It did not say analyze this. Did not say debate this. It said remember this. Remember what? That your perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. And in this lies heaven or hell. Either your life is going to be incredibly loving because you are desiring to see perceptions of love, or your perception is going to be showing you lots of hell because that's what you're choosing to see. But it's going to happen as you elect. What you see is a reflection of what you choose to see. Perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. Remember this. In this lies either heaven or hell as you elect. God's justice points to heaven. Love's fairness points to reality. Just because God's justice is entirely impartial, God's love is entirely impartial. And you have to admit, our love is anything but impartial. We think we like some people more than other people, that we care about some people more than other people, we love some people more than other people. That is not impartial. Love is impartial. So, what does that mean? That God's justice, God's love, accepts all evidence that is brought before it. So, here's the love of God. Here is love, God. And God accepts all the evidence that's brought before it, omitting nothing and assessing nothing as separate and apart from the rest. So love never sees you as separate from everything and everyone else. And from this standpoint of your oneness with everything in love, from this one standpoint of oneness, God's justice judges. So love judges from the standpoint that you are part of all that is. Hear all attack. Hear from the perspective of oneness and love. All condemnation becomes meaningless. All condemnation becomes indefensible if we are all one and we're all the same and we're all connected. Perception at that point rests. When you recognize oneness and you're seeing through the eyes of love, the mind is still. And guess what returns again? Light. Light returns again. Light is truth. Vision is now restored. When you see with love, when you see through the eyes of God, when you see through God's justice, and you see the oneness that embraces all and condemns none and heals everything, your vision is now restored. What has been lost, which is your vision, your ability to see the truth, that vision has now been found. And what happens next? And what happens next? And what happens next? The peace of God, the peace of God, the peace of love, the peace of God, the peace of love descends on all the world. And we can see. And we can see. The peace of God descends on all the world. The peace of love descends on all the world, and we can see. When we use God's judgment, we can see. When we use love's fairness, we can see. When we use God's judgment, we can see. All right, that is the justice of God. And I'm going to pull a miracle card for the group like I do every Thursday night. And that will be our special message from the universe. I am Earl Purdy. I am a full-time teacher. And if you'd like to make a donation, a financial expression of appreciation, go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com. That's Purdy, Purdy. If you like to use Venmo, my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I am available for one-on-one personal sessions where I can bring my 40 years of working with people into whatever issue or situation that you'd like to have healed or you'd like to see it another way. I've also been a sole purpose astrologer and numerologist for over 40 years also. And it's just another way that spirit communicates through to us. So if you're open to it, I also will use that. It's called a clarity session. A clarity session. Go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, and look under clarity sessions, and it will explain my services in detail. and you can self-book a session with me right there from the web page. And on Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live, I do another Course in Miracles Facebook Live. Mountain Time, 1 o'clock p.m. Then, of course, on Thursdays, we have our hardcore Course in Miracles at 7 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page. Follow my page, and you will be automatically notified on Facebook when I go live. Also, go to my website and please sign up for my contact list so I can let you know the different things that I'll be offering. So let's see what our special message is from Spirit. Okay, this is a special message for all of us. Are you with me? Okay, here we go. Here's the message. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. Say it. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. 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 What I say? You are the way. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. I say, love is the way I walk in gratitude. I say, love is the way I walk in gratitude. Say it, love is the way I walk in gratitude. Yeah, love is the way. I say now, love is the way. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. Try then today to begin to learn how to look on all things with love. Try today to begin to learn how to look on all things in love. Try then today to begin to learn to look on all things with love, appreciation, and open-mindedness. That's what the card says. Try then today to begin to learn how to look on all things with love, appreciation, and open-mindedness. Because love is the way you walk in gratitude. Love is the way you walk in gratitude. Love is the way we walk in gratitude. So what is justice? What is fairness? It's a judgment that's totally based on love with no condemnation. Could anybody in the world who thinks that they're separate, can anybody in the world who has anger, guilt, and grievances make only fair and just interpretations? No. And the Course says, stop projecting your human attitudes onto God and thinking that God punishes and condemns because there may be a part of your own mind that punishes and condemns. Your Creator is unconditional love, and your Creator only heals. So, mighty companion, love is the way we walk in gratitude. And I'm walking in gratitude right now with you. I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for taking the time to watch my presentations and my classes. Thank you, those of you who see yourselves as my students. Thank you, those who see yourselves as my teacher. Thank you. I appreciate you. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. I want to be more loving. That's how I'll show you my gratitude. I'll continue to work on my own anger, guilt, and grievances and ego. That's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to let the Holy Spirit's justice help me remove every block that would keep me from expressing love to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Remember to listen to this at least 4 times before our next joining. Mighty companions, may the course be with you. I love you so much. See you next time. Don't forget, share this video.